Oh, Deborah Lee says, cool story about Graceland. Yeah, I got a lot of really good stories about Graceland, actually. When I got to go to Graceland, I got a call from a friend of mine, Jeff Decker, who is a sculptor. He does all these things in bronze. And he called me one day and he said, hey, where are you? I said, I'm in Nashville. He says, well, can you drive to Memphis? He says, I'm having a meeting there with the people from Graceland to do a life-size statue of Elvis on a motorcycle. And I would love to have you there for, kind of your sort of your expertise. And I know you know a lot about Elvis, and also you know a lot about motorcycles and Harleys and stuff, and also maybe about Elvis's motorcycles. So I went down there, and there was a guy named Bruce Rossmeyer who was in charge of kind of putting the thing together. He was the guy from the Harley side. We got together with him, and we had a big, nice meeting. We sat down with him, and just a whole panel of people for dinner, talking about these motorcycles. They were going to do an anniversary, 50th anniversary thing, and it was in 2007 when we did it. And it was they were going to feature Elvis's 1957 Panhead, the black one that he rode. And so they wanted to make, I guess, for the 50th anniversary, they want to make 50 copies of that bike and have them all signed, like with Elvis's signature on it, and number them. And they're going to have a special ride to Graceland. And they wanted to do a life-size statue of Elvis in bronze on his first motorcycle, which is actually his second motorcycle. The first one he had was a small little Harley. It wasn't a Harley Hummer. Maybe it was. It's called something. It was a little one that Elvis learned to ride a motorcycle. He wanted to buy motorcycles. He wanted to learn. So they got a small little motorcycle. And then the one that you see in all the pictures is a K model, which he got in 1956 when you see him in front of Audubon Drive, and he's riding the bike, and people are standing there, and he's filling the gas, and people are just hanging around. That's the K model. And so they wanted to do a bronze of him on the K model. And they were going to have it outside of Graceland at the Harley dealership across the street. And also there was another, the same statue they were going to have in Daytona, in Florida, where Rossmeyer's, one of his Harley dealerships was. So I went to the meeting, sat down with everybody, and then we went over the whole thing about the motorcycles. They wanted to kind of recreate the 57 Panhead, that Harley Panhead that Elvis had, and all the little doodads on it. Because Elvis, he liked kind of extra stuff, like his cars always had kind of a lot of bling on it. So his bike, the one he got, had some bling on it too. And there was a lot of details, and I knew what those details were, so we discussed them, and we were going to make this the new bike, which the new Harley engines are called Evolutions, and they're different. They don't look like a Panhead. So we were going to make these bikes kind of sort of resemble the Panhead, and add some of the doodads on there, like on the fender there was a thing called a cheese grater. That's what we call it. I'm not sure what the real name of it is, but these are these kind of extra additions to the bike that we're going to put on these bikes for the commemorative 50-year anniversary. Anyways, so I was involved in that whole thing, and then they were talking about, well, we got to make a bronze of Elvis on the first bike. But Elvis had a windshield on that bike, that first one, if you noticed. I mean, the K model that you see, it's pretty famous. I think him and Natalie Wood's on the bike, and there's just other pictures of Elvis with that bike. So the bike had a windshield on it. So every picture that's been taken of Elvis is with the bike with the windshield on it. So they didn't have any other photos of Elvis. And the problem with the windshield was when you do it in bronze, and the windshield itself is going to be bronze, which is just basically like having a solid piece of bronze in front of his face. So they said, well, let's make it without the windshield. So Jeff Decker, the sculptor, said, well, we're going to have to recreate it then. I'm going to have to get a model on the bike, and then set up the bike, and then be able to, take like pictures from every angle, and I'll have that to work off of. So they're all like, okay, well, what are we going to do? Who are we going to give her a model? And then they were like, you're the model. So they said to me, we want you to model the bike because we know that you would probably know how Elvis would pose or sit on the bike. So we did a session in Utah where they got the K model and the motorcycle, and they set it up, and they I think I've already told the story. It's redundant. I already told the story before. I think Jamie posted pictures of the thing. But anyways, so the motorcycle was. I did the posing for the bike. Basically the the sculpture is a sculpture of me, and they put Elvis's head on it. And it's me posing, so you see the pictures of me posing, and then you see the sculpture is exactly the way I was posing, which I did a pose that I thought Elvis would have done, or just the way he would sit on the bike. But the story that I wanted to tell was that we were at Graceland because we got called back to come there, and Jeff Decker, the sculptor, said to me, "Hey, come back out. We're gonna have we're gonna be able to look through all the photographs of everything that Elvis." Every picture of Elvis that they have at Graceland. So we got to sit there all day with a computer and all the database of everything every picture that they own that Elvis had taken from the beginning all the way to the end. So there was a lot of pictures, and it was great to be able to sit through all that. But the fun part was we got a private tour of the house, and it was the house was closed that day, and they were closed for cleaning. So we got a private tour of the house. No, we didn't get to go upstairs. I begged him. I said, "Come on, let's go upstairs. Come on, it's us. It's cool. We'll just go there, peek in the room. It'll be cool." And the lady's like, "No, I can't take you up there." She says, "I've worked here for 20 years. I've never been up there." I think, "You haven't been in that room. You've worked here for 20 years. You're out of your mind." So anyways, so we did get to see a private tour of the house. We saw, when you walk in, and all the closet doors were open. They were, cleaning and wiping everything down. So we got to see more than most people would see, just because of the fact that there wasn't any ropes around and nobody was really giving a tour. We were just kind of walking around the house. So, anyways, it was fun. I'm sure some of the people on here that are into Elvis probably would think that would be cool. I'm sure you'd like to get a private tour. But we got one because we were basically working.